I consider the House Oversight and Investigation Subcommittee to be the preeminent investigatory committee in the House, which is why I am so deeply disappointed in this one-off partisan political hearing, which was thrown together at the last minute and put together. We could have a real investigation into issues about media independence, about what the role of the federal government is, but instead, we're having this hearing. I apologize I had to leave for a few minutes. The reason I had to leave for a few minutes is I went to a press conference just now at which there was one reporter from Colorado. And the one reporter from Colorado was from Colorado Public Radio, which happens to be the only media outlet from the state of Colorado that has a Washington bureau. She doesn't just cover me, she covers everybody else in my delegation, which includes our two senators, John Hickenlooper and Michael Bennet. It includes Lauren Boebert. It includes Doug Lamborn and all the Democrats. She covers all of us, and there's nobody else who does it. So I want to say shame on this committee for doing this. Apparently, in my absence, but also when I was here, this majority staff, or the majority members, keep attacking the NPR CEO, Catherine Marr, because she's not here. They gave her 1 week notice. She's a brand new CEO, and today is her board meeting, her first board meeting as CEO. And you want to haul her in here so that you can rake her over the coals for your partisan issues. Shame on this committee. I'm beside myself. I think it's outrageous. Also, in listening to the testimony of the first three of the witnesses on this committee, you would think that NPR is a urban-only, liberal, democratic organ. That is so far from the truth. The NPR has member stations all across the country. You heard the ranking member say in Florida, some of these stations in rural areas are the only ones who are giving weather reports about impending hurricanes and other extreme weather events. Same thing in Colorado. In Colorado, we have member affiliates in Colorado Springs, Colorado. Hate to tell anybody who's ever looked at Colorado Springs, not a liberal bastion. We have a member affiliate in Greeley, Colorado. Hate to tell you, not a liberal bastion. And all of these affiliates are reporting on news that one won't hear anyplace else. I also want to say something else, which is less than 1% of NPR's budget comes directly from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting grants. In fact, in 2022, NPR received just over $5.5 million in these grants from CPB. So, Mr. Aaron, I want to ask you, I know you don't work for NPR, but in your knowledge, is this fact true?
To the best of my knowledge, Congresswoman, it is true. I think that the important thing here is that that those are the direct subsidies that go to NPR. And of course, stations also want NPR programming because their listeners want it. So the reason they're paying for that programming is they want to hear, of course, the local coverage where we really need to be investing, but also international coverage, also national coverage, also the marquee interview programs. These are what keep listeners tuning into these stations. This is why this service is so popular.
And that's
so
why
it's
it's the public broadcasting system, right? Because they'll cover issues like that may not be economically advantageous for a commercial station to cover, correct?
I mean, that is the mission of the system, is to do the stories that are going uncovered elsewhere. So when the commercial media is all over a story, it is not necessarily NPR's job to just echo that, to just tell people the same story they're hearing from their favorite cable channel or their favorite local broadcaster. It is to do other original reporting, break their own stories.
Excuse me. So Mr. Graham had many examples of what he saw were failures by NPR to cover, but all the things he mentioned were widely covered in all of the rest of the press, from Fox News to MSNBC and everything else in between. Is that right?
As far as I know, I mean, we're talking about 30 or 40 years of coverage where I can't imagine the number of stories that would have happened. And of course, you know, it doesn't mean NPR, people can't criticize the stories. I hear stories all the time. Oh, I wish they'd done this. I wish they'd quoted this person. But it's the aggregate, it's the coming back, it's the staying on the beats that's what matters, especially at that local level, and especially, as you pointed out, when there are no longer other journalists, for example, here covering what happens in Congress because of that corporate consolidation that Mr. Ruiz was raising up, where the newspapers just simply closed their bureaus here in DC, where commercial broadcast television isn't covering an individual delegation. Those are the places we need public media to step up, and where fortunately in places like Colorado, it is doing so.
Thank you. I yield back.
Gentlelady yields back and now recognizes